Hey, this is Jazzy with ModernHippieMag.com, your online source for hip, healthy, conscious green living. Today we're out at gorgeous Siesta Key Beach, but we're not here to enjoy the sand today. Today we're here in a form of solidarity and meeting with people in our community, organizations, and joining hands across the sand and helping BP to understand that we're not going to stand for it, that our beaches are pristine, and you know, we have something to say. And so with this joining hands in this form of solidarity, we want to speak with people and find out how this event, how they're hoping it's going to have an effect, but also we're going to hear from our county commissioners and see what's going on in our county and if there's anything that we can do to help. So stay tuned because we got a lot going on today.
This is a community gathering, it's a community outreach, it's a show of solidarity by joining hands in solidarity against the effects of the offshore oil drilling and to encourage clean energy alternatives now. Actually, you don't want to encourage, we want to demand clean energy alternatives now.
We just want to make it known that a lot of people are very interested in this horrible problem.
Our beaches are pristine. They're not only a place for us to enjoy, but it's the foundation of our economy, and we just can't allow them to destroy it.
This is an issue about the environment. We all understand this. But beyond that, it's an issue about community. This is who we are. This shore, these marshlands, estuaries, that's what brought us here. That's what ties us together. It ties us together aesthetically. It ties us together economically. It ties us together spiritually. This is why we're here. When this is threatened, our community is threatened.
I'm here just because I love Siesta Key and I love the beaches in Florida, and I want them to be beautiful, safe, healthy places to come with my family for a long, long time.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm mad as hell. I live in a community that has spent hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in generations cleaning up our natural environment, bringing scallops back to our bay, restoring the seagrass beds, more fish to catch, and providing for our community for a better quality of life. And one single act of a bunch of morons stands to undo all that we have done over the last few years. And I'm mad as hell.
There's so many people outraged, but how did it come about that you were able to organize something like this?
Okay, the first event happened in February, and it was against offshore drilling, and Renee Weeks organized that one. And it was a cold day in February, and a couple hundred people came out on the beach and joined hands against offshore drilling, period. Well, now we have the effects of offshore drilling.
I mean, the truth is right now even we're seeing effects. There are some people who are canceling reservations even though our beach is gorgeous. You can see there's no oil on it whatsoever. But the impact to the area, if oil were to come here, would be enormous. And frankly, our population cares very broadly about the state and the health of the Gulf of Mexico. This has been so irresponsible on behalf of the oil companies and on behalf of the United States in failing to regulate the industries. It is just appalling.
I know that some of our beach hotels are experiencing like a 40% cancellation rate because people from Europe and people from other parts of our nation don't understand that the Gulf Coast is so expansive, and they see the oil on Pensacola Beach and they think that St. Pete and Sarasota and the rest of our West Coast is closed for business, and it's affecting people that work in our hotels, people that work in our restaurants, people that work in our fisheries. It just overall the potential effect of this on our state is devastating.
Personally, I feel this is an insult. It is an assault to my senses. It is already causing Sarasota County very serious economic hardship. But more so, I'm fearful that the toxins that are being released into the Gulf of Mexico at literally uncalculable numbers are going to have lingering effects. This is the area where our fin fish, our recreational fish, are breeding right now. So we may not see the actual consequences of a lot of this oil spill activity until 5-10 years down the road, when these species that normally would be breeding now have a generation lost.
The second wave of disaster, if you will, is going to be the human health impact. We've estimated that there are something in the neighborhood of 64 million people who are at risk of health effects already. And given that there's going to be exposure, our hope is that people can have medical intervention which is preventive first, so that we can lessen the impact of the exposure.
And so this event, so many people from our local area and faraway beaches have come together to show solidarity. What do you hope to accomplish?
That the world would take notice, that our government at the state and federal level would understand how deeply people care about the ecology of the area, about the environment, the Gulf of Mexico, and the health of our beach.
What do you think is going to happen seeing all these people? Do you think that's really going to have an effect?
I like to hope so. I like to think most of these people are registered voters who care about the beaches and understand that their local economies are tied to their beach economies and vote with that in mind.
We saw the power in the 1960s and the 1980s that peaceful gatherings of common citizens had on their government. We live in a republic democracy where the people do have a voice, and I can't think of a better way to sound off than to come here and hold hands or join hands and just let the government officials know how serious we are about this matter and how disappointed we are in their activity.
So are you hoping that being out here today and taking part in this event, that it's going to make a difference?
Oh yeah, it'll make a difference. It'll hopefully get on CNN, and there'll be a few shots of that, and it'll raise the consciousness. You know, it's in the sick kind of way. The oil spill is actually good for the Siesta Beach here. You know, it will stop the drilling. I mean, it will slow it down. You know, because even the conservative politicians, except for Marco Rubio, are against drilling right off here. You know, and destroying this source of tourist income.
Please know that every one of your local governments, when our state legislature was even discussing oil drilling 3 miles off the coast, said no way.
Hands Across the Sand is a movement made up of people of all walks of life. This is crossing political affiliations. This movement is not about politics. It's about the protection of our coastal economies, our oceans, our marine wildlife, and the fishing industry in Florida, and our way of life here in Sarasota.
This is the quality of our life, and this is something that's very important to all of us. So thank you so much, and please, please continue to support renewable energy. We need to have in the Florida Constitution an absolute and permanent ban for drilling off these shores. Can you help me make that happen?
We just have to keep this going so it doesn't stop here.
And I think everybody here should appreciate that this is not just a phenomenon of a few months. We're going to be dealing with this for decades.
We have got to do what we can as citizens to make sure this never happens again.
I think that drastic measures need to be taken in the federal government to make sure that this sort of activity is stopped. And I also think that this needs to be a wake-up call for us all and should show us all the true price of fossil fuels and the price that they pay to our environment, our culture, and our society.
It's one thing for red tide to come in, it's another thing for natural things to happen. But when man-made disasters, you mess with Mother Nature.
So what would you say to BP right now?
I would say to BP, get your oil out of my Gulf.
Save our seabirds, save our sea life, save our marine life, and develop clean energy. Don't kill our Gulf.
It's distressing, but we're going to keep our beaches clean, aren't we?
Oh, we are going to keep our beaches clean, definitely. Right here in Sarasota, we will.
So we have to come together as a community, work as a community, and fight for the same thing, protecting our legacy, protecting our way of life, and also fulfilling our moral obligation to make sure that this is here for the next generation and the generation after that and the generation after that.
But the fact is, the Gulf of Mexico is all of ours. The ecology and the economy of the state and the area is important to all of us.
Our great-grandchildren are going to ask and protest at some point, what did you do when the earth was unraveling? Surely you did something for the mammals, the reptiles, and the birds that were all dying. Did you fill the streets with protest? And as we continue to be exposed to the toxins, surely you called for that to stop. And what did you do once you knew? So here we are today, joining hands in community solidarity against the effects and the mitigation of the offshore oil drilling, and we want to develop clean energy now.